skill shortage. Well, fitting wise, people can't find the fitters.
Training is changing. You're not going to get away with just saying, well, I've looked after him for 6 years, he's good enough. You're going to have formal recognised qualifications. You can be qualified and you can prove you're qualified, but you now have to prove you're competent.
People are like, they do it reverse engineer, they give it a go and maybe use someone else's primer, and then they go, oh, this has gone wrong, Alan.
What I say to people on training courses, don't mix systems. Why even take the risks? It's ludicrous.
No, the builder said, not paying for DPM, just put it down. So he did. Well, here we are 2 years down the line to redo the job that I was on 2 years ago. Just listen to me the first time.
Welcome, Alan, Tim, to the Tim back to the podcast. Alan, you're a podcast virgin. For the uninitiated, Tim, your role at F-Ball, what does it involve? What do you do on a day to day? Give me a few sentences out for people that didn't listen to our old podcast.
So my role is the head of training here at F-Ball. So I'm basically a floor layer by trade. We have a centre of excellence. So we have people coming in on a daily basis, predominantly floor layers, carpet fitters wanting to learn this side of things. But we get manufacturers in, we get wholesalers in, we get customers from abroad. And basically it's just a case of obviously showing them the products, but upskilling them as well. And yeah, my passion for training is hopefully evident when people come on the training course with us.
How long have you been here now?
So it'll be 5 years in November, so 4.5 years. Time's flown.
And can you remember that transition period? What was that? So you're out on your knees, and then suddenly, well, you're still a bit on your knees, but
yeah. So
how was that transition? Just so.
Well, I actually fell into a teaching role. So I worked for a couple of firms, earned my stripes, served my apprenticeship, ended up teaching at a further education college. So that was a massive change. Like I say, I found my passion for teaching. Obviously, I taught apprentices on site previously, but it was totally different. Fell out of love with teaching. Went back on the tools again, working for myself with a couple of lads, working under me, and then I ended up at a PVC manufacturer. So I was there for 5 years, 5.5 years, and then I obviously came here to F-Ball most recently. So it's quite a varied background, but ultimately training. As I say, that's my passion. So.
And I'm going to throw you into the bus a little bit. What's the least favourite part of your current role?
Genuinely no. I mean, one thing like anybody will say in the trade is a lack of space, certainly when it's a training facility. That's always a thing. So we're trying to develop courses all the time. Obviously, storage of products, setting up of things. But honestly, keeping up with demand, that's the hardest thing because, again, numbers-wise, we're averaging about 1,000 people a year. So it's a lot of delegates coming through. So again, trying to keep up with that demand because I always want to say yes. And you can't always do that, obviously. But again, massively, I'm a big believer of quality over quantity. So yeah, numbers are good, but training's got to be at that standard. It's best practice. So as I say, the final answer will be keeping up with demand.
Alan, same question to you. What does apart from doing a podcast, but what would a normal Tuesday afternoon look for you?
Well, I'm the technical representative for Scotland. A normal Tuesday, there's no such thing as a normal Tuesday or any other day of the week, to be honest. Every day's different. It's one of the good bits of the job. But the general role involves commercially looking after our key distribution, wholesaler accounts, liaising with the contractor base, promoting the products to the contractor base. Biggest part of the job is actually being out on site, either pre-installation to put together a specification or sometimes post-installation when something's not gone right and we have to go out and fix it. So a Tuesday for me could be anywhere in Scotland or down here. But predominantly I'll either be on site or I'll be sitting in front of a wholesaler or I'll be supporting a contractor in terms of installation problems and just trying to get the job done for them.
And how did you start in that role at F-Ball? Or
Yes, I started raw. I've been in the flooring industry now for nearly 30 years. I've been with F-Ball for nearly 19. Prior to that, like Tim, I was with a vinyl manufacturer, but I've done management roles, but certainly since I came to F-Ball, I've been technical rep for Scotland, and so far they haven't found me out, so I'm still here.
Well, I'll reverse engineer the question. What's the favourite part? If you wake up on a Monday morning and if you could do one thing, what is it?
Sleep in.
I wonder what the response was going to be.
Favourite part of the job, I would say it's probably from a personal point of view, it's the site work.
Right.
Because you never really know what you're going out to see. You'll have a brief,
Yeah.
but it's seldom what you think it's going to be. And then there's the problem solving element after that. You're only there because generally someone doesn't know what to do or would like to know how to do it well, or they've done it and it's gone wrong. Either way, they have potentially a problem to solve. Our role is basically to solve that problem for them, give them the right products to do the job first time, and hopefully they'll sleep at night once they've left. So that's the favourite part for me, is the diversity and the technical aspect. Least favourite part of the job, and this is purely an age thing, is the driving. Scotland's a big area, and the older I get, Glasgow to Perth seems an awful long way now.
What's the, not mentioning locations or jobs, but what's the craziest, most bonkers thing you've seen out on site? Or funniest, or something really memorable that you've...
Funniest thing, because I'm a bit sick, is the day the guy fell off a ladder. That was quite funny. Most bonkers thing I've seen...
That wasn't a floor layer, was it?
No, it wasn't a floor layer. It was an electrician, and it was an electrician that had actually thrown a bit of a huff because we wanted to move him so that we could look at the area, and he was getting in a bit of a tiz because he was having to finish up what he was doing, and he was shouting and swearing and all upset, and the site manager had said, "I don't care, out you go," and in his haste he fell off his ladder, and we all had to run over and fake that we were concerned. But strangest, weirdest thing, you get a lot of them. What I would say about the flooring industry is it's populated by a number of myths when it comes to actually doing the job. And put it down like this, mix it with that, don't mix it with this, mix it with that instead.
Chuck more water in.
Yeah, chuck a bit of water in, it'll go further. As I always say to flooring contractors at that point, you're an excellent floor layer, but you're probably not a great chemist, so don't mess with the mix. So things like that, people trying to take shortcuts, people maybe employing old wives' tales about the flooring industry, they can be quite weird.
Yeah. Do you still think there is a shortage of contractors and retailers using you as a sounding board, if that makes sense? Because the reason I'm asking is I've seen most of the manufacturers who have roles like yourself, you'll happily go out and say, this is what you need to use, this is what this is what I would, full recommendation. And then you can obviously sleep at night. But people are they do it reverse engineer, they give it a go and maybe use someone else's primer, and then they go, oh, this has gone wrong, Alan. It's why would you do that on a big job?
If they're not phoning me, they're phoning the help desk here at head office. I think there's an element of people, a lot of people know exactly what they're doing. We've got a lot of good professional flooring installers out there, and they probably know it better than me. So there's that element. There's then the element of people who think they know, but they probably don't, or genuinely they don't know what they're fitting on. The starting point of a failure is the substrate you're laying to. If they don't really know what they're putting to, then it could go wrong. I think most people are quite happy to get help when they think they need the help. I think the problem is people just don't think they need that bit of guidance when they do. But generally speaking, yeah, I think we're quite well utilised. I'm always busy. The phone's going every day with a query, with a request to go to site. So yeah, I think we do quite well out of that.
I love that. Skill shortage, Tim. One of the biggest problems we see, not just fitting wise, people can't find the fitters. Why do you think we can't find it? From your point of view, where are all the young fitters, or where are the fitters?
Well, I think historically the trade, it's not deemed to be sexy. So when I taught at a further education college, it was a construction college. So you got lots of people wanting to be a bricklayer or an electrician, but very few people wanting to be a floor layer or even a painter and a decorator. Again, hand in hand with that, some people disrespect it, think they can just pick up a knife, fit a floor, fit a piece of LVT, whatever it is. As Alan's touched on there, it's all in the preparation. So they've got to upskill themselves. And again, training courses like ourselves. Yes, we're a manufacturer. I say on a daily basis, I'm not a salesperson, but ultimately our centre of excellence is a sales tool, because people come in, they see what we're all about, they see the kind of service we offer. Again, we've got many, many Allens, you know what I mean, up and down the country. So you could have the best product in the world, but if you've not got the service to back it up, and that's where I'm proud to say I work for F4, we've got the service. And like I say, getting back to your question, we're trying to get people into the trade, whether it's, which we'll move on to later, I'm sure, about our floor site scheme, whether it's open days at schools, because again, people leaving schools are preparing them for college and further education. Well, you know what I mean? You can earn good money, you can have a cracking trade if you're willing to put the effort in. And again, it's a physical job, so some people are frightened of it, some not so much.
A plumber, you might earn a little bit of money, but then you say, oh, a floorlayers, like, what, fitting carpets? It's like, but the Americans on the floor side, like, kind of state, well, look, if you've got your own flooring business, you could earn this. If you're a carpet layer that does this, you could earn that. And then they go, but you need to do this training. And I thought it was really interesting. It's a bit, not brutal, but it's kind of putting you in the same light as, you know, as again, if you're a doctor or a barrister, you know, oh, well, he's earned that. And I think they even did that where they showed what you could earn as a doctor and showed what you could earn as a carpet layer that was at the top, you know, with two lads or something like that. And you're like, hang on.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting. And then that was the funnel for the training, which I thought, and what it showed was, but you're going to have to be trained by manufacturer.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be trained by X and you're going to have to be trained by Y, even to be playing at that level. You see how I thought it was a really clever way of.
I agree. I think it's a good way of looking at it. But you're right, it needs to be the training again from manufacturers. You know what I mean, getting your qualifications, your on-site training, mentors, people that, like I say, I've earned my stripes. You know what I mean. I've worked with fitters that are superb. Some fitters not so good. Some fitters spend the time to teach apprentices. Some don't. They use them as a labourer. So it's having the right kind of, like I say, input from the relevant organisations or personnel.
What have you seen at the training centre here? I mean, we've ran some wood floor fitting courses, which have opened our eyes. And what we had some wood floor layers. I won't mention any names.
Yeah,
definitely not. That were wood floor layers, and we had some other lads that were just floor layers that never fitted wood. And the feedback we'd got was actually the lads who were doing the carpets and the vinyls had a different skill set, slightly better, but a noticeable skill set to attention to detail. And I mean, that might have just been the people on the course. But what, have you noticed anything, you know, like how do you see many world-class fitters still coming for training, or or is everyone terrible?
it's different. I mean, we've got, I won't say a targeted audience, but people come to us. I mean, we're not, although we're advertising, the people will come of their own accord. So we get some very good, very experienced floor layers and carpet fitters. We get some people brand new to the trade. If someone's coming from another trade, I would probably say carpenters tend to have an eye for detail and they pick it up well. But again, we get some carpet fitters that are, again, experienced carpet fitters, superb, but they're getting the usual question. They go to Mrs. Smith's house to price per job. Well, can you do the full job? No, I don't do LVT. Well, they've lost that job now. So they're upskilling themselves. And obviously, what we do hand in hand for LVT is the subfloor prep. So again, people wanted to, well, I don't know how to screed. I don't know about moisture. I want to come and learn. So yeah, we get a mixture of people really and different skill sets, and that's what makes it enjoyable.
Oh. Alan, do you find out on your role? A couple of my clients have said to me, these are decent sized retailers or contractors, and they avoid subfloor like the plague. And I think it's a skill set problem. But have you experienced anything like that where they're avoiding doing the subfloor, and they're even getting the retail customers, oh, go and get someone else to screed it first, and then we'll come back and fit the floor? And you're like,
You say that, not too much, but I think again, as Tim said, it's all down to a skill set. Part of the problem is, in the latest CFA figures on the contract side, there's an 18% shortfall in labour at the moment, and it's been that way, give or take a couple of percent points for 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. We're the world's worst industry at promoting ourselves. Most floor layers, don't know if Tim agrees, they'll come because they know somebody or they're related to somebody who's been a floor layer.
Yeah.
And the conversations I've had going out to careers days and things when I've done it, the kids don't know what floor laying is. Automatically it's a carpet fitter. I don't want to be a carpet fitter. No, it's a floor layer's different, but they all want to be joiners or brickies or sparks or plumbers or whatever. Wasn't any different when I was at school and when I was leaving school. But at the end of the day, we need to promote the industry more, and then we need to promote the training aspect. I think in terms to answer your question, there are some will avoid it more on the retail side, but they're getting sucked into more and more LVT installations. They're doing more subcontract jobs, especially since COVID. You know, people were maybe not putting as many domestic installations in, so they were looking for other work. And they've had to learn, again, maybe upskill to sheet vinyl. The subfloor element, it probably does frighten them a bit. A good carpet fitter can turn his hand with a bit of training, good training, to resilience. But again, to prepare that floor to receive a resilient, he's never done that before. His understanding of substrate and surface DPMs, primers, different types of smoothing compound, non-existent. And so, yeah, there is an element of people don't know and they don't want to know because it frightens them maybe a bit.
Yeah.
But if they're going to go down that line of work, the stark reality is, if you want to get that work, you're going to have to learn.
Yeah. Everyone was crap once, basically. That's it.
I mean, no, A, you've got to learn, and B, I'll even speak personally, every day's a school day.
All
I'm
right.
always picking stuff up.
Yeah. No, I think if you think you know everything, you know nothing.
Exactly.
What are you guys doing to get rid, not get rid of the skills shortage, but is there anything direct, or is it school days and things like what? Is there any other things that, if people have got young people or?
I think there's a number of initiatives. Training is changing. It's certainly changing in England, whereby the old level 2 NVQ has been upped for flooring into level 3. There's been a national rewrite of the NOS, National Occupational Standard. That's been done and approved. Scotland adopted it in the September cohort at the college. So all first year apprentices come September will embark on the new National Occupational Standard. I believe Wales are there as well. England's not quite there, but they tend not to work to a NOS. They work to that, then triggers basically another skill set level. But they are on the process of going up to level 3, which is a level 6 in Scotland, but it's all on a level. So I think the training criteria has been dragged up. The bar's been raised. Now everybody has to get to that. And I think in terms of training across the board, whether you're doing in-house training or whether you're going to a college or whether you're going to a training centre, now, particularly with the advent of the Building Safety Act, you're not going to get away with just saying, well, I've looked after him for 6 years, he's good enough. You're going to have formal recognised qualifications, because that's the only way you're going to get work in the future. So I think training-wise, everybody needs to up their game, including us.
The tech for this podcast was produced by Truth Digital. Truth Digital is the sister company to Cochrane & Co. We work in the same office, we drink the same coffee. We do websites, marketing, paid ads, social media, SEO, and all of the other things that will get you new business quickly and efficiently without the bullshit. Check us out, truthdigital.co.uk, or check us out on socials. All handles are Truth Digital. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you here again very soon. And Tim, how do you think things are going to look in 10 years? If you're Mystic Meg, how does your mystery ball look in 10 years?
If I'm optimistic, then we're going to shorten that skills gap. If I'm realistic, we're just going to keep fighting the fight. We'll do as a manufacturer. We'll do as much as we can, and we are doing that. But I think the trade is so at times archaic. You know what I mean? And with like I say, it's not deemed as sexy, so I don't think it's just going to change like that. But ultimately, we'll fight the good fight and just keep again plugging in together and try and shorten that skills gap, really.
And I'll do my question out here. How does it work on a schools day? Just so I understand, what did you literally go into schools and do the same training? Not that you do with a flooring contract. What does the school stuff look like?
So obviously Alan's been here longer than me, but we have a lady within a different department which is heavily involved with training and apprenticeships and school days. So her and her team go into many local schools, admittedly, but try and obviously promote floor laying, promote the trade. F-ball obviously is, we're there as an ambassador, but ultimately we're trying to get people leaving school to think about doing an apprenticeship, and hopefully a floor laying apprenticeship. Certainly within my role, we're dealing with sort of after that really. Although we do have actually many kids on work experience coming into F-ball and open days that we actually host here. Like I say, within my role as head of training, we support lots of colleges as well. So one being obviously up in Scotland, which Alan covers, one in Wales, and then a few in England. Still, again, nowhere near as many training providers and colleges as I'd like them to be. But yeah, we're just promoting training and upskilling through the different platforms. I mean, possibly different for you, Alan.
A schools days is generally just it's a very limited thing. You go in and there's multiple people there. It's a careers day. You can't do much other than show them some real basics and talk to them. Because again, in this day and age, they can't have a go. They're not allowed in case they kneel down and hurt themselves. You certainly can't give them a knife to try cutting anything with. So it's very much it's more a talk rather than a do.
Right.
But again, this is where I've picked up the feedback of, I don't know what a floor layer is. I don't know what they do. Oh, you mean a carpet fitter? No, a floor layer. And it's more an education process to try and get them the knowledge about what floor laying is. And, you know, you touched on it earlier with the Americans. When you start to tell them how much money they can make, then you see their eyes light up a wee.
Yeah, I think
but again, even within the construction element, you're in competition with there's 9 recognised construction trades in Scotland. So you're in competition with another 8 of them straight away. But there's people there from further education colleges, there's people there from, you know, accountants, there's people there from the local supermarket. Yeah. Kids nowadays have a lot of opportunities that they can target. I'm not saying it's easy to get any of them, but there's a lot of choice for them. We just happen to be now as an industry one of many, many choices.
and I think about the up in the MVQ and stuff. I think even if they could take it to a level where plumbers and electricians are to a point where
That will put them on a
Yeah,
par.
yeah.
A level 3 is a 4-year apprenticeship. Again, from a Scottish perspective, Scotland went to a level 6 SVQ because we have to be different in Scotland. So an SVQ level 6 is the equivalent of an NVQ level 3. We've been operating to them for a good 10 years plus now. And that, again, in terms of these other 8 construction trades, that is the same qualification that these guys walk out with. So it's a 4-year apprenticeship in Scotland.
Right.
And we're only one of the 9 trades that retain the skills test. So even once you've done your 4 years, you still have a separate skills test to pass before you get your papers. And we're the only one out of the trades that still do that. But the parity with all the other building trades that already exists, when England goes to level 3, that'll be the same, because that's the qualification you come out with, is a level 3. So we are going in the right direction. We are going as an industry, we're getting for want of a better word, the respect and commanding the respect that the other trades have. But it's the knowledge and advertising the fact that it is a trade and you can make a lot of good money out of it.
Is there any way you think we could, I mean, obviously Scotland, Wales and England slightly different, but is there any way do you think we could turbocharge it, or is there someone that's going to get hold of it and really, really push, or is it?
I think, to be honest, it's up to everybody in the trade. I know that the Contract Floor Association do their bit. Individual manufacturers, as I say, Tim says, we go out in the local community and promote our business, and by definition the trade. But it needs everybody to be doing it. It needs contractors to be doing it. It needs main contractors who are maybe taking on guys. Well, we want to take on some floor layers. I'll go and talk about floor laying now.
Yeah, I did see it again back to America. I went to Vegas a couple of years ago, and it was one company that's trying to get off the ground had like a hammer rating. So if they come to F-ball, they'd get 2 hammers. If you go to somewhere else, you get another 2 hammers. If you've got your MVQ, you get 10 hammers. And then basically you have all these hammers, and you can then basically what they give you a scale of, if you've got so many hammers, again, it then goes back to the money thing, or the main contractors say you need a minimum of 30 hammers to work on our site. You cannot be, you can't even tender for the work unless your installers are at 30 hammers.
I think that may come to pass. Again, I mentioned the Building Safety Act, which was passed after the Grenfell inquiry. A big part of that act is what they call the competence framework.
Yeah.
And what the government are basically saying now is you can be qualified and you can prove you're qualified because you have your certificates and whatever, but you now have to prove you're competent. And that's different. So upskilling, ongoing training, CPDs, I think they'll become more prevalent because people will demand proof of that to say, well, I know you're a floor layer, but show me you're a competent floor layer. If I put you on this job, you can do it to specification, you can do it safely, you'll use the right materials, you'll use them in the right way, and we'll end up with something that's the way it's supposed to be and safe. And that covers specifiers, main contractors, manufacturers, and installers.
Yeah.
There's the 4 levels of competence that the government's now looking for. So I think, and we're a fair bit away from it, but that will drive from the bottom up, that will drive the industry through.
I think it's so me and Tim spoke about Tim's was judge on the National Flooring Awards, and we did a document, not a video, which was a great idea. Tim, we're going to do a video next year. What our expectations of how to fill a form, and it's about competence. We might have literally the best installer or the best retailer or the best marketing person that's entered, but they can't actually demonstrate on a document that they're really good. So, but they might be in real life one of the best people in the country, and it's just been more apparent that you find these people that are great, but then it's like, well, how do you judge that without being on their shoulder?
Yeah.
So I think that comes to concentrate.
There's a thing out called ESCAPE, which is a 4-letter acronym because governments like acronyms. And it basically means skills, knowledge, experience, and behaviours. And that's a big part of this competence framework. You will have to demonstrate and prove all of them. What skills have you got? What knowledge do you want? What experience? What have you done? And what do you do when you're there, when you're on a job? Demonstrate how you do it safely, competently. So that this SCABE is going to become a huge thing moving forward. Not probably so much for trainees, apprentices, because they're going for that skills element, that qualification. But certainly once they've done that, and for existing labour, this is what they're going to have to do.
But they should be competent, shouldn't they? That's the thing. Again, my passion for the trade. There's many, many good floor layers out there, but there are people who are winging it. You know what I mean? And they're not willing to upskill themselves, and they're just looking at being short-sighted or looking at the money side of things. So it is important that people do undertake the right training and are assessed to make sure they can actually do the job.
Well, I think we see on the business side even more, and even if we keep on the subject of leveling compound stuff, they'll say, well, I just charge this for that. Where have you got that number from? That's what I've always charged. I'm like, well, do you know how much is a bag? Do you know how much the DPM is at the moment? Well, it swings and roundabouts. It doesn't have to be swings and roundabouts. And that can be literally the best installers, the best contractors, but they'll just say, well, this is the fee. And it's like, yeah, and some people, are granted making some great money from it, but some are literally winging it. They're like brilliant installers, but there's no education on like how to price up a subfloor prep.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I know I'll put it down, but I don't know how. Or they know how to price it, but they're pricing it wrong. They're probably 20% underselling themselves. And I went to one in Newcastle and to look at a LVT problem, and it was 75 square meters on top of another leveling compound. I think, granted, they had primed it, but they put one manufacturer prime and another manufacturer on top. That wasn't the problem, but that's what they'd done. It was at 75 meters. He just said, "Oh, just 500 quid." Like, where have you got 500 quid from? Like, it made no sense, because what should have happened is the old leveling should have been ground off. Probably that should have been 500 quid, and then we should have started with one manufacturer. But people have just said, "Oh, give us 500 quid for the prep," and then
Well, again, you've just touched on it there, Tom, and you touched on it earlier. If people mixing systems, do I mean, we're here, F-ball here, we're a business, we're making money, but ultimately we've been here for 140 years this year. I mean, tried and tested products, we do well, we're a market leader. But I said to people on training courses, day in, day out, don't mix systems. Yes, I'll hold my hands up, I have done in the past, but never intentionally, because how do you know that DPM is going to work with that primer, with that compound, with that adhesive? And when it's 75 square meters or 7,500 square meters, why even take the risk? It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So again, it's education.
I've seen it 100 times, and then ask. But then even, I'm sure you guys have been asked 100 times, will it work? Well, it might.
Yeah. Well, you're going to work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
but it might not do as well.
in a lot of flooring contractors' defence, maybe not I just pick 500 quid. That's maybe no defence to that.
Okay.
In terms of product choice, in terms of the way they do things, the ultimate result, a lot of that, they're highly skilled guys, but they're possibly in situations with main contractors, with clients, where they're not given the right site conditions, they're not given the time, they're not given the budget, they value engineer the job down to whereby they're having to mix products and cheaper products because they've been screwed on the price. They're getting screwed down to a very low level of cost. And then it's the time. The floor layer and the painters, they're always the last guys in, at which point the project's over budget and they're behind. Who jinx getting all the pressure? So a lot of guys, and I've seen it over the years so many times, you go in, there's been a mistake made. And I know the contractor. His guys don't make mistakes like that. But they made a mistake this time because they've been under so much pressure from the main contractor to get in and out, just get the job done, doesn't matter. So there is an element of, things go wrong, shortcuts are taken, but a lot of it isn't down to the flooring contractor, it's down to pressures above him. So I think we need to recognise that sometimes. I know I do when I go out on a job, and rather than go, well, why have you done that? Yeah, I know why he's done it.
The site conditions is the big one, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Where the floor layers are constantly fighting a fight. End of the day, they've got a mortgage to pay. Like you say, you've got a programme of works to stick to. But ultimately, it's not a race to the bottom. We need to make sure everything's best practice to the best of our ability and things are done right.
And that's, again, on the business side, that one of the biggest take-homes we see from our courses, people not willing to say no on, screw it, or I still want the job, or I just won't DPM it, or I've even seen people, well, I've given the customer a choice if we should DPM it or not. And Mrs. Smith, why? Well, she won't pay for a DPM. Well,
yeah.
So she will if we know in 3 months' time.
I'm going to see a care home later on this week that's got basically whole ground floor's got to be redone. I did the initial spec for it 2 years ago, and it was a DPM and a smoothing compound and then LVT. Now the builder said, not paying for DPM, just put it down. So he did. Like, to be fair, very professional client. He's not daft. He got his disclaimer letter and did it the right way. So he's pretty much airtight on this. And he's getting the job to do again. But that was the main contractor said, I'm not paying that. That's too much money. Well, here we are 2 years down the line, and I've been asked to go and see it this week to redo the spec, to redo the job that I was on 2 years ago. Just listen to me the first time. It's cheap one.
What meterage is that off the top of your head? Do you know on that?
That's about 300 metres.
When I previously worked at the last firm, I went to an hospital, 33,000 square metres. Same thing happened. A DPM got spec'd. Main contractor didn't want the DPM. All failed. Do you know what I mean? That last time I heard, that was still an ongoing legal battle years later. So again, we have to remember that we're the professionals and we need to use the right products and promote the best practices. And again, seek advice from F-Ball or whoever it is. Yeah, I mean, these guys, like I say, Alan's been doing it a long time. He'll give them good, honest advice, but to offer that guarantee, it's got to be the right advice.
And for retailing and contractors, I mean, residential, when I've seen court cases go, we're the flooring professionals. So if we got a residential client to sign, I don't need a DPM.
Not the paper is right.
But on commercial, does that work slightly different?
No, not really. Again, the best thing you can do is you write the disclaimer and get them to sign it. Because again, if you've got an element of, there's a letter, just do it. It's the same argument if it goes to court. But look, you're the flooring professional. You knew you shouldn't have done it. Why did you do it? Even if you're working for another construction professional, well, he's a builder, he's not a floor layer. You're the specialist contractor. So invariably, you don't really have a leg to stand on. The best way to do it is to notarise and indicate that you have told them why you don't want to do it, everything that go wrong, the reasons why you shouldn't be doing it. And despite that, you're telling me to fit that. Sign that, please. Then you've got a chance.
Yeah, and I think I was very privileged. I did a job when I first was cutting my teeth. I think it was 5 minutes in the business, and I got this job in Harrogate. It was a couple of grand for a week's work, so I thought I was a multi-millionaire at this point. And it was a floored floor, and I wanted to stick it down, so I'd gone and bought the sausage adhesive, it's wood obviously, and got on the job. And she said, I bought this underlay, and the manufacturer said it's fine, and I hadn't checked, granted, so I was. And she went, I want you to use the underlay. I'm like, well, I want to stick it down. She says, well, I'm not paying for any extra glue. So you just need, I didn't write anything down. Floor was mediocre. It wasn't flattish. It was flat enough. If that's a technical term. But either way, it's slightly compressed like all flooring floors did. She didn't like the way it compressed. And at that point, and I took her to court for not paying my 2,000 quid. And the judge was like, are you a flooring guy? He said, yeah. Awarded to that lady there. And that was the best learning curve I've ever
How much to them go?
yeah. And so even disclaimers and things like that, just follow, the right advice and follow it through. And that was the
The
best.
courts tend to consider that you're the flooring professional.
Yeah.
So regardless, the only person in the room that should know better is you.
And people still persist to do the wrong things. Anyway, women in flooring industry. Alan talked to me about ladies days or fall. Not just in general. That's for another day.
Have a short conversation. So we, again, for a few years now, we've hosted Women in Flooring. So we run it twice a year. Genuinely extremely popular. So I will just state that women can come on any training course.
Yeah.
But as we all know, the trade's very male dominated. So they tends to be successful where we just have up to 12 women on a particular course. They're so diverse, the people on the course. So we do get few and far between, but we do get installers.
Yeah.
Pretty much every group's got at least one or two installers, female installers. We get wholesalers, manufacturers, clients from abroad. But again, it's nice for them to come together, like-minded people, where they can obviously discuss, whether it's their husband that does the fitting, they do the office work. Again, I said to people, if I bought a car, I want to buy it off a car salesperson that knows all about that car. You don't just sell me a Dudden and then just go right on your way. Same with flooring. You go into a retail shop, you want to know all about that carpet, all about that luxury vinyl tile, whatever it may be. So again, we get, like I say, sometimes women on the course that haven't had the opportunity to upskill themselves or haven't felt comfortable in doing so prior to the training course, and yeah, very successful.
Is that going to be an area you're going to expand? Do you think twice a year? Do you think there's enough need for it?
I mean, ultimately, it's obviously catering to demand, but yeah, I mean, maybe again the diary's always full, really, our diary. So never say never if more people want to do it. But again, it's just,
I suppose it come on any course, couldn't it, really? If you're running.
And as I say, we do get them on other courses. Say a lot of courses that we do for export customers, we get females coming over. With also, again, we've got a couple of female retail representatives. So they're going around to retailers, and sometimes it's easy to strike up a conversation, like-minded women again, because again, most of our commercial guys are literally guys, because it's like I say, a male-dominated trade. So even ourselves, we're sort of invested in many females throughout the business to try and broaden people's horizons, really.
I think there's a USP in flooring industry with ladies. I think selfishly, my wife was the MD of our flooring business, and then she'd start talking about, we're gonna use fibre paste, we're gonna do an epoxy DPM, and people are like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And like, oh, they'll say, oh, is your boss coming? And she'll go, no, I'll specify it. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? Really?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, like, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go and get Tom? Tom knows what he's doing, but then when it came from Sarah, it was a USP. It sounded normal coming from me, but when, she's fighting with a builder, oh, we don't need a DPM. She's like, well, I'm not doing the job. Well, do you want to go and ask your husband? She's like, I can't wait for this. It's like, she's pulling the boxing gloves on, going, I'm DPMing it, and that's the end of it.
That's the shame, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, the builders,
Yeah.
again, predominantly male, do you know what I mean? Like, well, can Tom second this or whatever? I did it last month. We ran a women in flooring course. One of the evenings, we took them out for dinner, and I was speaking to one of the ladies about this particular subject. And yeah, she does all the paperwork, all the site visits, all the measures. And on a weekly basis, she's getting clients going, well, where's your husband? Where is this? And it's ridiculous.
No, it's Sarah started taking offense. Then it started getting funny, and then she was it like a dog like a bone. She was like, "Try it, just try me." And it was as she built her confidence up. But it was funny. It went from like coming home, frustrated, to then getting that confidence. But yeah, so you mentioned floor site before. What's that?
So Floor Site is an apprenticeship scheme, a cohort that we actually initiated, I think it's 2 years ago now. So we had obviously many meetings about it. We've basically put our money where our mouth is, and we've been the instigator of taking on our own apprenticeship cohorts. So obviously, as we said earlier, we've got private training providers and colleges up and down the country. Still not enough. So we, as I say, spoke to obviously people within the trade. Can we do this? Should we do this? Costing us a lot of money, in all honesty, but it's the right thing to do. So we've actually teamed up with a training provider and a training organisation. We deliver the training alongside them, but it's all delivered at our Centre of Excellence here in Cheddleton, Staffordshire.
Yeah.
10 weeks throughout the 2-year apprenticeship. So basically, there's 10 on board, 10 young lads. One of them is our own apprentice, Reese. So we actually recruited at the same time to take an apprentice within our training department. Reese was obviously a successful candidate. And then alongside Reese within that cohort are 9 other lads that work for all different firms. So again, around the Staffordshire area.
Yeah.
2 work for a firm that do a lot of new builds, carpet fitting. Some of them work for one-man bands, etc. But they come here, say, every couple of months for the 1 week, the 1 block week.
Yeah.
Do the theory and the practical. And then they go back to site for another 6, 7, whatever it may be, weeks learning on site. And they keep doing that. And at the end of it, they'll do their endpoint assessment like the usual framework. We've actually we're in the midst of, but we're pretty much finalised recruiting for a second cohort. So it was a pilot scheme. I think I'm allowed to say this, but it was that successful that, like I say, we're running a second cohort in October. So it's something that we'll hopefully just keep doing that. And as I say, putting our money where our mouth is. There are companies that if they're of a certain size, they'll pay into the levy, and then they can obviously get it funded basically, or predominantly funded. From our point of view, we don't claim any funding. We're, like I say, we're ultimately going to sell yellow buckets.
Yeah.
So as we all know, you get brought up on the yellow bucket. So when we've got, as I say, we've got 10 on board currently, we're not telling them, we're not hitting them with a whip and saying you have to use 1200, you have to use F3. But they're obviously getting more and more, exactly, bigger than me. But they're getting more and more familiar with it, they're using it, and ultimately when they go, again, not forgetting these contractors that have got apprentices on the scheme are already known to F-ball. So I'm not saying they exclusively use F-ball products, but they use F-ball products. So again, they're using the F-ball products here on the Floor Site scheme, they're using them there. Long term, like I say, we're hopefully going to get more and more people in the trade, so more customers for us and others. But yeah, like I say, it's literally costing us a reasonable amount of money, but we're doing the right thing. That's why we did it starting with Staffordshire, because again, it's a pilot scheme. We don't want youngsters, again, some of these are 17 years of age, so we don't want them travelling from Essex, for example, via public transport.
Yeah.
But yeah, long term, we may end up having, you know what I mean, delegates from all over. I mean, when I did my apprenticeship back in 2002, I had, luckily, I was on the doorstep of my training provider, but we had people literally travelling from top of Scotland down from London on public transport. So it's a lot to ask of a youngster. So yeah, hopefully we can branch out and do it a bit more. But again, it's not competition. I mean, we're happy to work alongside all your other training providers nationwide, because like I say, we're all in it for the right reasons and the same reason.
And when's the next one start?
So I say the new cohort starts in October of this year.
Is that Staffordshire again? Is it similar? Like,
yeah, it is. I think some some are slightly further afield.
Yeah.
But not drastically. So they can easily get to F-ball for the block week. But yeah, we've got our first cohort back in September. Obviously now we're in August with the summer holidays, so things have quietened down a little bit with training. Contractors are busy, certainly commercial. But yeah, come September we'll have our first original cohort back in. The following month we'll have the second cohort starting, and in between that we'll be doing our daily courses. So busy.
and that's probably my last question. Where do people find the information on the courses? You know, someone sat listening to this podcast thinking, I should really start doing some training. Apart from, you know, if they're in Scotland, speaking to Alan, or if they're around the country, where do they start, or where do they find that information?
Well, an obvious point to start would be probably the Contract Flooring Association. That's got a lot of information available. They're obviously key to the trade. I mean, as I said, it's not competition. So let's just say we've got an individual based in Scotland. There's obviously a training provider in Scotland. Just they've
In,
got to
ter-
go.
in terms of Scotland, it's slightly different to what, as I said earlier, what we do down in England, and that Tim mentioned coming for the week's block release that the boys do. In Scotland, because it is a level 6, equivalent level 3, they actually do 13 weeks in their first year and their second year, 1 week in their third, 1 week in their fourth, and then their skills test. So it is over 4 years and it's more time involved. If you're in Scotland, and to be fair, you can do it down here as well. Good starting point is CITB, Construction Industries Training Board. They are the funding mechanism for training now. It's a legal requirement to pay your CITB levy if you fall within scope. Now, they set the scope of what is a floor layer. So that will dictate whether you pay your levy, which then dictates whether you get funding. But there are other avenues to even non-levy payers through CITB to gain funding. So it's slightly bad for the levy payers because they're funding everybody else. But, you know, these guys, certainly in Scotland, is a huge thing. Most contractors pay their CITB levy. They want to pay it. They want to pay into it and get the funding back out of it. But you can approach CITB almost on an ad hoc basis to arrange funding for individual courses, whether that's apprenticeships, upskilling, whatever. So CITB nationally is a good starting point to ask about certainly the funding mechanism. In terms of that's once you know you want to be a floor layer.
Yeah.
And that will be your floor laying employer that does that. In terms of getting kids involved in it and it goes back to that promotion of the industry. It goes back to, it's a marketing exercise. Now, you know, our marketing department will tell you, don't talk to me at all about marketing because I don't know anything about it. But at the end of the day, we need to promote the industry, market the actual career of floor laying to younger kids who are sitting there, and it's on the TV every second night now, that, you know, we've got a lot of unemployed people who are not in further education. These kids will be desperate to do something. Probably a good percentage of them would love to be a floor layer. The only problem is they don't know that floor layers exist. They don't know what they do. They don't know what they are. So we need to basically get them very early on in the latter part of their education at school and say, here's some options. If you're not academic and you don't want to go to college or university and you don't want to go down the engineering route, here's something you can look at. And that, again, it's the $1 million question. How do we do that better? You know, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
Obviously, one way of addressing it, which is ever popular, social media, of course. I mean, what you guys do, obviously, with podcasts, people who listen could just come up against it. But even I don't really do social media, but like I say, Reese, our 19-year-old apprentice, he'll come in one day and say, I've seen this video of somebody showing me how to fit something. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's best practice, sometimes it's wrong. So we just need to be careful of that. But social media, again, I mean, they're called influencers for a reason, aren't they? So that's another big avenue. I mean, from our point of view as a manufacturer, we're very active on social media. But yeah, that's a way to get into people.
I think it is knowledge and perception. The first thing's knowledge. I don't know what a floor layer is.
No.
And then once they do know, again, from my own experience, so it's a carpet fitter. No, it's not just a carpet. Yeah, you'll fit carpets.
Yeah.
But here's all the other things you do. It's a diverse day-to-day function. And again, call me cynical. They all like nice cars and nice watches. And you say, that's how much money you can make. That's usually the hook.
That's the hook, yeah. Day-to-day courses that are here at FBall, give us a quick rundown of, you know, what does a week look like or a month look like of what courses are available to people that are already in the trade, not the youngsters now.
Well, the diary can vary massively, to be fair, but we do 1 and 2 day subfloor prep courses. So we tend to say if you're an experienced floor layer, you just want to brush up on your skills or your F-ball knowledge, come on a 1 day course. If you're, for example, a carpet fitter, you're scared of screeding, you don't know about moisture, come on a 2 day course. Then we also do 3 day LVT fitting courses, including prep, obviously. We do a couple of commercial sheet vinyl courses, 3 and 4 day courses, respectively, with manufacturers. We do, as I say, the floor side, we do wholesaler courses where, again, one of our areas for growth is exports. We're constantly hosting customers from abroad. So, yeah, it's pretty diverse.
Is it wood courses?
No, we have done.
No,
One of my
no.
colleagues asked me this morning, actually. So
I've got
we have
ice
quite.
cream.
Well, we obviously have quite a small portfolio as far as wood flooring. Although
Yeah.
we do have obviously some very good products. But yeah, they're sort of a bit more on an ad hoc basis. So we have, in my 4.5 years here, probably delivered about 10. So I mean, we've done a few, but they're not our bread and butter really.
I've never understood. Obviously, LVTs took off like a jet, but wood's always been there. Wood's always a skill, and I can't fit a carpet. I can tell you now, I can't fit a carpet. I'd be very mediocre at fitting an LVT, but I can fit wood, and that's the way I was brought. That was my business.
Yeah.
But so I've just never understood why most people just don't get the traction. And a lot of people, I think it's a great skill to have, but
I agree, and obviously some of those wood, whether it's engineered, solid, whatever, there's some beautiful floors.
Yeah.
But again, it's like anything, it's education. So again, correct preparation of the base, choosing the right floor covering, and then maintaining it correctly, as you know better than me, Tom. Do you know what I mean? It's got to. Whereas LVT is probably one of the reasons why it has taken off so well, is it's so easy to maintain.
No,
Then you can just replace a plank dead simply, and it's a bit like carpets. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, historically, nice woven carpet, be down in Mrs. Smith's house for 40 years. Nowadays, it's polyprops. I mean, have it down for 2 or 3 years, job done.
yeah, that's it.
Not so much with LVTs, but I mean, some people are changing their LVTs every 5 or 10 years.
And we won't go down the rabbit hole of SPCs. That's it.
Yeah. SPC, WPC.
Yeah, that could be a whole podcast on its own. So it's and final question. What question should I've asked you? What question should I have asked you, Tim? And I'll come to you, Alan, next. What? I always like a bit of
Should you have asked me?
yeah.
Obviously, you put me on the spot now, but I'd probably say, I may have told you this previously, but maybe, how did I get into the trade? Because as we touched on it earlier, it's normally
Free friends.
a relative, a next door neighbour, something. I was quite out of the ordinary, really. I left school, just wanted to do a trade. So I went to, I don't know if you remember it, I can't remember the name of it myself. The like the young person's job centre. Can't think of the name of it now. But basically, I went there, said, look, I want to go for a trade. Can I be a sparky? Can I be a plumber? And they said they couldn't help me because my GCSEs were too high. They weren't high, but they had a certain criteria. They said, but there's a carpet shop up the road that have took people on previously. Why don't you try that? Carpet shop, carpet fitter. I don't know nothing about carpets. Anyway, the rest is history. I had an interview, got a job same day. Within 3 months, the local college was taking on their first cohort of apprentices. Just right place, right time. And yeah, I've always stayed in it, and I don't think I'll ever get out of it, the trade.
No, I don't think you can get out. And I think I've got a client, I won't give a location, but he has been on the podcast before, that how it works, the job centre, but works with probably, let's say, the questionable part of the job centre where they've got to get a job.
Yes.
And there's been, let's say, even drink and drugs rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And he actually says, he's got a couple of carpet shops, he said, give me the worst ones you've got. And a lot of he's literally moulded these young'uns.
Yeah.
I think he used to be on that side of the fence as well.
Yeah.
But now they're really highly skilled. We've got lovely houses now. We've got, sort of made a trade of it.
Yeah.
But he prides himself and give us the wrong ones, and we'll do that. So it definitely works.
To be fair, I also know of a firm that's got a very large setup, to be fair. Again, they do new builds, and they're proud of taking on people that have been in prison previously. They've been released, obviously, and they train them up because, again, generally they want that opportunity. They're grateful that they've got that opportunity, and they turn out to be some of the best workers. So,
Love that.
Yeah.
Alan, same question. What question should I have asked you?
You've had time to think about this.
Well, the obvious one. What are you doing?
Well, have you not retired yet?
Why am I still here? Possibly, why would you phone somebody like me?
Yeah.
Which is obviously, a lot of the guys I deal with are fantastic floorlayers. They've been doing it a long time. They know their job inside out. So why are you phoning me? And the simple answer is, when you're that close to the coalface every day, you can miss things, especially on the prep side. My sole function is to go out and make sure the prep's right. So in essence, you're phoning me to take that burden, that bit of the job out of your worry zone. I'll come and spec it. I'll come and look at potential problems, identify the substrate, and basically, obviously, I'm not saying every company the same, but if we give you a specification, you follow it to the letter, that's guaranteed for the life of the installation. So it's peace of mind, it's experience, it's knowledge. I've been doing this a long time. I'd like to think I get more right than I get wrong. So that would be a question you could ask me, and I think I've just answered it.
I'll tell you what, good answer that. He's done
brilliant.
this before, hasn't he?
Brilliant. With that in mind, if someone is in a Scottish postcode, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, I'll be asleep in a lay-by somewhere. So, best way to just get me on the phone. Most guys in Scotland will know my number. If they don't, contact F4 directly. They'll be more than happy to give you my number, as they repeatedly do. Just give me a buzz. And as I say, I've spoke to a lovely young lady yesterday who's got quite a large job on the go and probably wants me to go up and specify, have a look at the substrate when it's poured. It's not even out of the ground yet. And that's in Lerwick. So that's a plane over to the Shetlands or a boat over to the Shetlands. So, doesn't matter where you are. We'll come and help you.
Fabulous. Same question, Tim. If someone wants to book training, is it you or is it a different process?
No, they can speak if they're an F-ball user. They can most likely, obviously, have a relationship with our representative, so they can obviously seek advice there and assistance. But ultimately, they can book on the website. So again, they can just Google it. F-ball training courses, take them straight to the landing page, and then they'll get a basically conditional offer because we need to make sure they're on the right course, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, internet's always a good place to look.
We'll make sure we share that on the podcast show notes as well. Thank you, gents. Enjoyed this one. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Tom.
Excellent. Cheers, Tom.
The sponsor for this show is us. Is Cockrell & Co. What do Cockrell & Co do? Well, we help flooring shops, retailers, contractors, wholesalers, and anyone connected to the flooring industry spend more time doing productive things, putting systems and processes in place, making more bottom line profit, and running their business much more efficiently than they ever thought was possible. We run training courses, we have a community of nearly 100 people, and this podcast too. So if you want to know more about what we do, the best place to find us is either on socials, Cockrell & Co, or the website, which is cockrellandco.co.uk. We'd love to speak to you about how your business is going, what your plans are, and how you would love to grow and mature that over time. There is no cost to have a conversation with us on Zoom or on the telephone. We now have a fantastic senior leadership team who can help you with 99.9% problems, and if we can't help you, we will find someone that can. So no matter what flooring business you've got, what help you would need, you just need to ask. That is all. So without the corporate waffle, without the bloke in the shiny suit, but someone that wants to make more money and spend time doing things that you love, we would love to hear from you. Again, visit cockrellandco.co.uk and send us a message, or find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.